Okay, so this is our senior project. We're doing a podcast. We each have, or there's three topics that we're going to talk about. The first one is conjoined. It's music. We're going to talk about genres of music and three different bands or artists that are in that grouping. So Alex is going to start.
I had metal music. Metal music is really just the overarching genre that has to do with loud vocals, fast guitar, and banging drums. It was popularized in the 80s and early 90s with bands such as Nirvana and Metallica.
Can you read mine now? So mine is going to be on alternative music. So what classifies music to be alternative? Alternative music is really just the production of music that doesn't fit the mainstream of other genres. It isn't categorized as rock, country, pop, etc. It's considered to be something outside the regular types of music found on the radio. Alternative music started becoming popular in the late 80s, early 90s with massive bands such as Nirvana and Radiohead.
My first band I chose was I Prevail. They're an American rock band that was formed in Michigan in 2013. They released their EP Heart vs. Mind in 2014 and had a metal cover of Taylor Swift's Blank Space as a single, and then proceeded to release 3 more albums after that.
My first band for alternative music is Gorillaz. The band Gorillaz is a worldwide sensation, able to claim the award of most successful animated band. Created by ex-frontman of the popular Britpop band Blur, Damon Albarn, and British comic strip creator Jamie Hewlett, they created one of the most influential British bands. Starting in 2001 with their first album, self-titled, they were criticized for the odd tone to their music, but were also praised for being out of the ordinary. Since then, they've released 7 other studio albums, 3 compilation albums, 11 extended plays, 1 remix album, and 46 singles. With the release of their newest album, Cracker Island, their monthly listeners on Spotify placed them in the top 60 in the world, and their most popular song hitting over 1.08 billion streams, Feel Good Inc. They use common instruments such as bass, acoustic percussion, and vocals, but I think what makes them alternative is the fact that they have different instruments that others normally don't use, such as the melodica, keyboard plugins, and the Shure 527B, which is the microphone that the lead vocalist uses.
No.
Good.
My next band was Saliva. They're an American rock band formed in Memphis, Tennessee in 1996. They released their self-titled album in 1997 through Rocking Chair Records, a label owned and operated by Mark Yoshida. The release was recorded and produced by Bill Pappas at Rocking Chair Studios, and they were signed to Island Def Jam Records and went on to release their second studio album, Every 6 Seconds. Their third album, Back Into Your System, in 2002, which reached number 19 on the Billboard's Hot 200. Back Into Your System launched one of Saliva's most successful songs, Always, reaching number 51 on the Billboard's Hot 100 and number 1 on the Modern Rock chart. Their newest album, Back Into Your... I lost my place. Their newest album, Back Into Your System, repeated number 19, and its first single, Ladies and Gentlemen, peaked number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100.
So my next band is My Chemical Romance. The hit band My Chemical Romance is a band anyone from the early 2000s will remember. This is considered to be one of the bands included in the emo Holy Trinity. This band has hit after hit, including Helena from their 2004 album 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, Teenagers from their 2006 album The Black Parade, and other albums such as Danger Days, The True Lives of the Fabulous Killjoys. The band is led by singer Gerard Way, who also has known solo work. My Chemical Romance has always been an out-of-the-ordinary type of band. Along with Panic at the Disco and Fall Out Boy, they started the new wave of what is now called pop-punk, alternative rock, alternative and emo music. After the breaking up of the band in 2013, they rejoiced back together for one more tour and the release of one 6-minute song in 2022.
My third and final band is Slayer. They are an American thrash metal band from Huntington Park, California, and they were formed in 1981. In their original lineup, everyone contributed to the band's lyrics, and all of the band's music was written by two of the band's members. The band's lyrics and album art, which cover topics such as serial killers, torture, genocide, organized crime, secret society, occultism, terrorism, religion or anti-religion, fascism, racism, and war, have generated album bans, delays, lawsuits, and criticism from religious groups. However, their music is highly influential, being cited by many bands as an influence musically, visually, and lyrically. Their third album, released in 1986, Rain and Blood, has been described as one of the heaviest and most influential thrash metal albums of all time. By the end of their run, Slayer has released 12 studio albums, 3 live albums.
Come on.
By the end of their run, Slayer has released 12 studio albums, 3 live albums. Come on. By the end of their run, Slayer has released 12 studio albums, 3 live albums, a box set, 6 music videos, 2 extended plays, and a cover album.
You done?
Yes.
Okay. The Cure is my final band. So anyone listening to rock bands from the 70s, 80s, and 90s will no doubt know of The Cure. The Cure is a British alternative rock band who has been putting their 2 cents into the music community for decades now. Their first studio album, Three Imaginary Boys, released 1979, is one of their best-known albums. It includes their most popular song on Spotify, Boys Don't Cry. Other very popular songs by the band include Love Song, Love Cats, Just Like Heaven, Friday I'm in Love, and many, many others. The band is pulled together by lead vocalist Robert Smith, whose soothing vocals pull everyone in to listen. Their new style of music from the band in the 80s took the world by storm. The smooth bass lines, the charming vocals, the head-bopping drums, there isn't a weak point in any of the band's instrumentalists. Even if it seems like this could be false, The Cure is still releasing anniversary covers to their older songs and are in fact going on tour this year.
Okay. Now for my next topic of discussion, I chose cars, and in specific the history of the Nissan Z. It's a short little summary of how all the Z cars performed and basically how they were sold in America from the time they started until the time they ended. In 1969, the 240Z arrived. It was a close competitor to the Jaguar E-Type. Both had muscular rear fenders, long hood, bubbled rear hatch. What are you doing?
Keep reading. Come on, read.
Stop making faces. A long hood, bubbled rear hatch, bulbous front fenders extending to cutouts for circular headlights. Underhood both had straight-six engines, manual gearboxes, and SU carbs. Step inside, and they were basically identical, besides the 240Z having a nicer dashboard. Between the 240Z and the 1975 release of the You know I hate you, right?
Come on.
We're not going to be able to use any of this.
I can cut part of it out. Go ahead, keep reading. Keep reading.
How are you going to cut you out?
Keep reading. Come on.
Okay. Between the 240Z and the 280Z that was released in 1975, Nissan had tried to release the 260Z, but it stopped production after 6 months because of poor sales. In 1975, Datsun bored and stroked the 260Z engine to a 2.8-liter engine and branded the 280Z. Nissan engineers fitted it with efficient fuel injection systems, giving it increased weight, but it had better luxuries and better DOT-approved bumpers. Can you please sit
Keep
still
reading.
and listen to me?
Go ahead.
The car was quick since it now produced 175 horsepower from 1975 to 1977. I don't think that is a lot. Huh? No. Let me scratch my eye. Aydan, later tonight, just know I hate you. And I hate you. And you're the worst person ever.
Can you keep reading? Are you done?
No.
Okay, well, I'm missing lunch, so hurry up.
Okay. The car was much faster now that it produced 174 horsepower from 1975 to 1977. And if you don't think that is a lot of horsepower, the 1975 Chevrolet Corvette made 165 horsepower from a V8 engine. In 1978, they released the 280ZX, and it had an L28 motor, and it was basically just a car that was released to make fun of how dumb engineers were getting with the Corvette and the Charger and most of all muscle cars. It sold very well and had a Car of the Year award by the end of its run in 1979. In 1984, the 300ZX arrives. This is the start of the 300 series that all have V6 engines instead of inline-4 engines. The 300ZX arrived with the VG30ET engine, which was used in multiple Nissan race cars. The 3.0 turbo produced 200 horsepower in the United States, but it was capable of being cranked to 230 with a little bit of aftermarket tuning. And the Nissan GTP ZX Turbo IMSA race car
Come on!
Sit still.
Come on!
The more you move around, the more I'm gonna take away lunch. The Nissan GTP ZX Turbo IMSA race car, yes, the same one that defeated Porsche, the Porsche 9. The Nissan GTP ZX Turbo IMSA race car is the same race car that defeated the Porsche 962 on the Miami circuit in 1987. And won the Sebring 12 hours in 1989 and 1990. Jesus Christ. This was the start of the modern era of the Z car. In 2002, Nissan released the 350Z. It was a very good car. They ran it for 8 years and had very good management systems. The engine was basically the same but beefed up. It had tons of aftermarket support. You could basically make it a race car for $15,000. And after Nissan caught wind, they in 2009 released the 370Z, and it was basically just a tune-up and a facelift of the 350Z, but it had a little bit nicer of a luxury aspect. And that is the end of my script.
Okay, so for my part of this, I'm doing a psychological disorder in the category of psychology. So the one that I picked is Cotard syndrome. Cotard syndrome, or the delirium of negation, is a very rare psychological disorder that causes a person to feel as if they're dead, do not exist, are missing organs, limbs, blood, or could feel like they're immortal or incapable of dying. The main cause is thought to be genetic with no known external precipitating factors. This could also be a foreshadow to schizophrenia. It is associated with migraines, dementia, and epilepsy. In a 100-patient cohort, 45% of the cases believe they don't exist, while 55 believe that they are immortal. This is classified as very rare considering there are about 200 cases known worldwide. A popular figure who brought this more to the public's knowledge by having it was Porjeh, the ex-lead singer of the popular Norwegian black metal band Mayhem, who has a troubling backstory. Dead was a Swedish vocalist who submitted his audition tape to the band via a box with his recording tape and a dead squirrel. After being accepted, he moved to Norway with the rest of the band and kept dead cats under his bed and dead geese on his walls because he enjoyed the smell of decomposing animals. During live performances, he would cut parts of his body and jump around to spray his bleeding wounds into the crowd. The rest of the band has stated that they did notice an abnormality in his behavior and his mental state. The band left on a trip and left Dead at home, and when they returned, he had killed himself. He started with a regular knife, to which he stated wasn't sharp enough, then moved on to a hunting knife and mutilated his arms and body, and finished with a shotgun to his head. Presumably, he wasn't able to feel any of this happening and kept going until he reached his point of death. Dead's story is one of the most well-known of Cotard syndrome due to him being a popular musician. That's our senior project.
Well, guys, that's all the time we have for you today.